When you need mealtime inspiration, it's worth shopping Kroger, where you'll find over 30,000 mouth-watering choices that excite your inner foodie. And no matter what tasty choice you make, you'll enjoy our everyday low prices, plus extra ways to save, like digital coupons worth over $600 each week. You can also save up to $1 off per gallon at the pump with fuel points. More savings and more inspiring flavors make shopping Kroger worth it every time. Kroger, fresh for everyone. Fuel restrictions apply.
Scott and Keith are Titterpigs, yeah. Keith and Scott are Titterpigs, oh yeah. They're gonna talk about sweet, sweet RPGs. And it's the Titterpigs, the RPG podcast. Am I getting paid for this one?
Welcome back to Titterpigs. This is episode 35. Scott, we are back. We are live. We are in the studio. Oh my God, it's the end of the year.
It's the end of the year. Yes, we're here to talk about a few things, how the year went for the Titterpigs podcast, and touch on a few subjects, and maybe briefly touch on how the hobby itself went, because oh my, it's not.
Oh my.
Yes. Let's it's OGL, Apologies, and Goodman Games. Oh my, for 2023. So
this year's been a dumpster fire in more ways than one.
Yes.
But we'll come to that. But let's start the episode off on a good note.
Yes.
Merry Christmas, Scott. I know we're recording just after Christmas, but I was traveling. I was visiting my son for the holidays, so I'm finally home, back in Chateau Modoc studio.
It's a palatial estate.
It is. This is my palatial estate.
It's not as big as the South American country that I have surrounding my my mansion, but it's close.
Yeah, my palatial estate's about the size of a shoebox, but we're okay. We make do with our manor.
Yeah,
but no. In all seriousness, happy holidays to you and yours.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. No, I hope everyone listening had a great holiday, no matter what you celebrated, or if you don't celebrate anything at all. I hope you had a good, at the very least, time away from work or other responsibilities.
Absolutely. So, did you get any goodies for Christmas?
Did I get some goodies for Christmas? Well, speaking of controversy, yes.
Oh, shit. We were going to start this off on a good note. This better be good controversy.
Well, it is a good note. Yes, I did get a lot of goodies for Christmas. I did get a couple things I did get things from my own family, which essentially involves me picking something out, giving it to my wife, and she wraps it. That's kind of what you do when you get older and you have children, and you just have something to open so you don't look like an idiot standing around the Christmas tree. But
touché.
But I did get a lot of wonderful gifts from friends, such as yourself and other people who we all know and love. And they arrived in a package from the United Kingdom. What tends to be, or what has been the case for at least a couple years now, is there's usually Christmas gifts, and since my birthday is so close to after the holidays, there's usually a birthday gift tossed in there for January. Well, apparently my wife, who was provided the box, may not have read the instructions correctly.
Oh, no.
And she put everything under the tree.
Oh,
so
you opened your birthday present.
Yes, but it is not a lost cause, because the birthday present that I opened, there is something special acknowledging it inside. It was a box set, and I'm not going to spoil it. I'll save it for my birthday, but inside there is something pertaining to my birthday. So the surprise is not fully spoiled.
Okay, good.
So that's going to sit on a shelf until my actual birthday, of which I'll open it up and acknowledge all the wonderful people who sent me the gift. But also, I found out that I am horrible at acknowledging gratitude for things, because it's just one person sends you something, but it's from a lot of people. And so when you think a single person, you realize after the fact that you didn't think everyone else who's involved, even though you don't know who it was. And you just put your face in your palm and just go, you know what, fuck this. I'm next year I'm just going to save all of the haul photos until the end of January.
There you go.
Yeah. So, but no, I'm not going to go over everything, but I did get Imperial Maledictum, which I was looking forward to. The new version of the Warhammer 40K role-playing game. I did get a nostalgia piece. I did get the Bushido box set. Very, 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 very cheap online. And that also came with a couple extras inside and two adventures that didn't come with it. Nice. So that was a pleasant surprise. I got a wonderful gift of some old publications on UFOs, monsters, and ghosts, which was the Worlds of the Unknown, which was around in the early 80s, late 70s, which, is one of the many things that I grew up with, which led me into my interest in these things.
Sure.
And that arrived, and that was nice to go through. And then there was also some other things that I had purchased throughout the year in the UK that was, picked up by, Pookie and Bud and Neve and other people, and those arrived too. So technically weren't gifts, but they were because
right.
Even though I'd paid for them, I didn't have to pay the exorbitant shipping to get them here. So I still consider it all to be a thoughtful gift. So
nice.
So I made out like a bandit this year.
Nice.
So how about you?
Gaming wise, not so much. Other than the things that I bought for myself on the holiday sales and didn't even bother to wrap and put under the tree. Yeah. I do have some packages, some presents under the tree still. We're doing another. These are from the UK. I don't know what they are. We're doing another gift thing on New Year's Eve when my granddaughter and my in-laws come over and my other son. They're coming over because we weren't here for the holiday, so we have that. So Christmas 2.0. I did find some stuff when I was visiting my other son on Christmas 1.0. I roamed some game stores up in Kentucky, in Lexington, Kentucky, and I found some used books that were, or overstock stuff that were down in bins that was nice, cheap stuff to pick up. So that was pretty cool. Yeah. And nothing super exciting or rare, just an old Nephilim book and an old FAFSA Star Trek module for Dan, one of the writers on the blog. I'm going to send that off to him up in Massachusetts. And what else did I get? Dying Earth, the Gazetteer for Pelgrane Press. Dying Earth series. What is it? Scum Valley, I think is what it is.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah. I know I'm butchering the name, but that was like $12, $13 or whatever. And so it was cheap.
That Dying Earth stuff is very pricey because it's collector items as they are, and there's always that wonderful collector price wall you have to deal with. So sometimes when you find things like that, or like the Bushido box set, which exactly, you're just like, holy shit. But as they tend to be, you find them in either these obscure places, or like the Bushido box set was part of what looked like, and I've said this many times before, Grandpa passed away. So the entirety of all the items for sale from this person on eBay is the Bushido box set, some old socks, a stopwatch, things like that, where it's just like, I don't know what the hell this shit is. I'm just going to throw it out there and see what I can get.
See
nice.
What I get for it. Exactly.
Right.
But I will acknowledge that probably the coolest gift that I got this year, it's gaming adjacent. It is, it's a plushie. It's a gelatinous cube, D&D gelatinous cube plushie with the bone bits and stuff that fit inside of it. Well, I got it from my son, my youngest son, and he did a number on me, and kudos to my youngest. Yeah. The little shit wrapped it, which is great, but then he pulled all the bone bits and the sword and the shield out and wrapped those little fucking things and then stuck them back in it and then wrapped the whole thing. Oh. And so I unwrapped it and he goes, and wait, there's more. So it was fucking great, dude. It was great. He got me good on it, so kudos to the kid. It was brilliant. My best gift this year, hands down. This was the first year like he really went out and like got gifts for my wife and I on his own because he's living on his own now. Mm-hmm. He got me a bottle of booze, which was nice. Got me that, and then the wife got a couple of like those exit board games, those little escape room type board games. And, I didn't realize you destroy the game and then throw it away when you're done. That feels really weird from a gamer's perspective. But we did one. It was hard as shit, and that was an easy one. Now I got a really hard one to do. Mm-hmm. Oh, God help me.
Yeah.
I'm stupid when it comes to these things, but that was my Christmas in a nutshell. So let's talk about the year in review.
Yeah.
Shall we?
Oh yeah.
Let's get into the ugly.
Yeah, it's been quite the year for the hobby 2023. I mean, we'll touch on that first before we get into the year of Titterpigs, which was a better year, so to speak. So it's been an interesting year. It's been a lot of controversy, as we all well know, but we're not a tabloid type podcast or YouTuber, so to speak. So we really didn't touch on those. That's just not our way. But I mean, between the OGL debacle
that started 2023.
Started 2023.
Yeah, let's be clear about that.
AI, just creeping in and out of a variety of different, publishers and whatnot, and it just kind of the controversy just seemed nonstop throughout the year, and so it's been quite the year of, I would say, a further splintering of a lot of the aspects of the hobby. There was a lot of lines drawn, in regards to these certain things that kind of push people to different corners.
But hold on, let's be fair though. Every 3 or 4 days, somebody draws these fucking lines in the sand, in the virtual sand,
right? And
then people cross them, and then they redraw the lines, and people cross them because obviously nobody respects boundaries, and nobody will take a moment to listen to another person's perspective and go, okay, your perspective is valid, even though I don't agree with it.
Right.
You still have a valid perspective. I'm just going to go play over in my corner. You play in your corner, and then we're cool.
Right.
But
and
welcome to Twitter, X, whatever the hell you are this week, Melonhead Musk or whatever the fuck your name is. And everything's a dumpster fire, and it doesn't have to be, but it is.
Yeah, no, it does. You are right. It is exclusively a social media thing because, outside of that, the games you play, whether it be online or at the table or at a convention, a lot of these things don't really rear their ugly head, even though you occasionally hear horror stories. But for the most part, most of that stuff is exclusively online, and you try your best to ignore them, and it gets, it does get to be a bit difficult at times, but you try your best to not engage, which I kind of went in waves. I faltered here and there and kind of gave my 2 cents on a couple things, and we even discussed a couple things. We spoke about we had a wonderful episode regarding artificial intelligence in the hobby, both. Mm-hmm. Regarding art and writing, which was great. And we
had another one on safety tools.
And we had another one on safety tools. And to be fair, we kind of kept an even balanced approach to it. At
least we tried to.
Yeah, our purpose was not to take a stand either way, but just to kind of open up the conversation to others to try to see it from both sides. Whereas the social media approach is, you need to pick one or the other. Otherwise, you're ostracized no matter what. If you pick a side, if you don't pick a side, whatever the case may be, you're never going to win. And it just, aside from that, there's positive aspects that obviously it's been a wonderful year for more creativity. A lot of cool games came out this year.
Hell yeah.
People have been enjoying themselves. We did a couple, maybe one, because I'm kind of rolling into 2022. But we've done a couple APs where we had a lot of fun regarding that, and I do feel that if you can just render onto Twitter what is Twitter's, and then render onto your fun and your gaming onto that, you can kind of have a happy medium between the two. You don't have to crunch them both together constantly.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think more people should separate themselves from, I don't know, the dumpster fire that is X, Twitter, whatever the hell it is.
Right.
And just go back to playing games. I mean, we can all, it doesn't matter whether it's you or I or any one of our various 7 listeners, we can all think to handfuls of specifically named individuals.
Right.
And we all can pick different people on just Twitter alone, right? That are, espouse various positions on whatever topics, and if you say anything counter to that, whether it's on AI, safety tools, rules is written, topic X, Y, Z, AA, double B, whatever.
Politics and gaming, all the usual stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Then you are in the wrong. They are right. And you are just some lowly piece of shit. And it doesn't matter what you say because your opinion holds no merit, no value whatsoever.
Right.
And you get blocked, you get shit on. So it doesn't really matter. But if people would just shut their bloody mouths and play some games together, we'd all find that we all have a common agreement on lots of things.
Yeah.
Even those same subjects that people are like bitching about. But I digress.
Yeah. Save the yes and for your role playing, not for your comments on social media. Not for your comments on social media.
That's why I personally have mostly removed myself in 2023 from Twitter because it's so vitriolic. And if I want to have gaming, like real engagement about gaming, I do it on Blue Sky now.
Yeah.
I don't. No. Twitter is just for posting links to my blog, links for Titter Pigs episodes. That's it. It's engagement because people are there and people do follow links and look at at my blog, listen to our episodes. So it's an engagement tool, but it's not for conversational engagement.
Right. And again, you brought up another important aspect that occurred within the hobby is an exodus, a social media exodus, with the degradation of Twitter to X and everything that came with it. People were looking for alternative sources and, some tried, tried some of the least recent ones like Mastodon, things like that. And, there's also Threads, and so on, which are, decent, but they all have their own issues. But Blue Sky tends to be the one that people tend to enjoy most because, the people who were looking to get away from it all have that kind of mutual agreement of like, we're here to talk about, gamings. We're trying to keep it positive. And for the most part, it does a far better job, focusing on that. And it may have something to do with how the algorithm works or whatever, but
I don't know, but it's working. And I can actually have like engaging conversations that are meaningful and do not become vitriolic dumpster fire. So which is fantastic.
Right. I don't see a single comment on dice fudging GM screens or rules is written on Blue Sky whatsoever.
And if you do, and I have seen those conversations, but they are meaningful dialogue, people discussing it like adults back and forth, having adult conversations as people should.
Right.
Where all people have opinions, whether we agree with them or not, it's okay.
Right. I mean, the only thing you need to do is mute Neil Gaiman, because otherwise your page is going to be full of him reposting stuff. But after you get through that...
There's a few others too, but he's the top one. But
the algorithm tends to work. And to be fair, this is nothing against... the wonderful writer Neil Gaiman, but he does have a lot of spare time, it seems, to
apparently
not just post but repost a lot of fluff. And if you don't want your feed to be full of a lot of things that he does, just mute him every once in a while.
True story. I did. I had to stop following him, but I didn't even mute him. I stopped following him.
So as far as there's not much else. I mean, we all know that there's the usual circle of life that occurs within the hobby that just happens year after year. But the focus has definitely been primarily on WotC and all of their shenanigans that have been going on too, between the OGL situation, the Pinkerton crisis that came up, their potential usage of AI, and then their not potential usage of AI, later on in this year.
Yeah, that was weird.
And all kind of, culminating with this coming year, 2024, with the 50th anniversary of Dungeons and Dragons and what they're going to be doing with that. But them being the 800-pound gorilla in the room, they've really done a job on themselves as
Fucking
far
it
as
up?
Yeah.
Oh, did I say that out loud?
Yes, you did, and that's a nice way to put it. But they've really shot themselves in the foot regarding their reputation, and I'm not just talking about the people like you or I who are kind of like, WotC just has been putting out kind of crappy stuff for a while. We don't like their games, we don't like the direction they're doing, but more against some of the diehard fans. Yeah. Of it, who are just like, wow, this is not what we signed up for, and we're not happy, and we're going to start looking for other games. And that could be, another thing of 2023 was the year of people actually leaving their comfort zone and discovering other games, which is always a positive thing in my opinion. So.
Oh, absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, more people broadening their perspective and finding other games, whether they like them or not.
Right.
Let's face it. I've got bookshelves full of games. So do you. I only like a small number of them are like my go-to games. There are games that I do have in my not so vast collection anymore that are like meh. Eventually, I'll sell them off or trade them or pay them forward, to somebody to hopefully enjoy more than me.
Right.
But that's the cycle of life when it comes to books and the hobby. But people trying other things is what this hobby is all about.
Right.
Broadening your horizons. And you need to leave a comfort zone to do that. And WotC doesn't want you to leave that comfort zone because they want to, and Paizo's the same way with Pathfinder. They want to suck you into their model, into their brand, and they don't want you to bounce out of it or explore out of it in hopes of keeping you there, keeping your dollars in their brand.
Right.
It's all brand management and marketing. Disney does it. Everybody does it. It's just that once you can break through that bubble and start, putting your tendrils out there and finding other things, that you realize there is far more out there than just 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons or Pathfinder,
right,
or Starfinder, that there are other games out there that fantasy or sci-fi or whatever it is, whatever your tastes are, that you might actually enjoy as well. Equally as much, more, less, whatever, but you gotta explore to find them.
Right. And there's no harm or shame in playing another game and then realizing, hey, that's not for me. And I think that's important too. I mean, obviously you don't want to go out and spend $150 on a bunch of books and realize, oh shit, this isn't for me. But there's ways around that. But yeah, you're only going to enjoy the hobby more and become, a better enthusiast of the hobby by branching out as much as you can into as many diverse games as you as possible throughout the year, if you can. I mean, obviously, if you can. I mean, money is a factor, but there's other ways to play these games without spending a whole hell of a lot of money. And thanks to the publishers who do that. Who provide free quick starts and other things to kind of
or community copies for those that are short on cash and. Supporters of those publishers who pay a little extra so that, that extra $2 when they make a purchase goes towards the pool of digital copies that are available for community copies.
Right.
So kudos to the publishers that do that. That goes a long way.
I mean, I'm sure, we're not here to recap the entire year of 2023. No. So there may be, there's a lot of things I'm sure that, well, what about this? It's like, no, we're going to focus more on, how Titterpigs is done. But, just one more thing to just end on. Yes, another year and another set of ENnie Awards, was completed with with some people being upset, some people being happy, and other people again scratching their heads at the categories that they chose. So I think enough said on that.
Fair enough. And the fact that we don't have a category for editors. I'm just saying.
Well, yeah, but that's again. I think 2024 is going to be the year where I kickstart the Eddies Awards.
Well, I know Pookie and I would appreciate it, and all the other editors out there.
Yeah, but the thing is it's going to be EDDIES, and I know that there's going to be a line drawn in the sand between all you editors saying no, it should be 1D.
We're going to talk offline.
Yeah,
all right,
exactly.
So let's
Yes.
move on to let's wrap up our year, the year of the piggies.
Yes. So 2023 was, an interesting year for us. We put
Been a
out
tough year.
Well, yeah, that's what I was going to say. We and I hate to say only, but we could have done a little bit more, but we only put out 16 episodes, which also included the bonus episode, our 6 seasons in Sartar recap. Which we did the video on my YouTube channel. So
right,
it's no shortage of content though, because we had a very diverse and interesting set of episodes we did, both just topic related, actual plays, and interviews. But you and I kind of we had a rough year as far as our availability to record.
Did we ever?
I mean, it was a year of just work related, personal related, cars breaking down, houses, situations with, housewares. And it seemed like every time we would set a date to record something, something would come up.
Literally life. Then my gaming funk on top of that, which I'm happy to report, everybody. Right. Mm-hmm. I think I've shed the gaming funk. So right. I am neck deep in reading books and writing reviews, and I'm jotting notes for a scenario that I'm looking to write. So yeah. It's turning around.
Yeah, exactly. So, but I mean, we did put out 16 fantastic episodes as far as I'm concerned, and currently our absolute top episode, the most listened to episode that we have in all of our episodes, came out this year. And which one was that, Keith?
Our top listened to episode that came out this year, if I recall correctly, I believe was our actual play, our Pendragon 6th edition actual play that was run by David Larkins himself.
Yes, it was. Yes. And we also had our good friends Pookie and Roz join in with us, and it was quite a thing to see, after that came out, and it seems to, as new news would come out regarding Pendragon throughout the year before the starter set finally dropped, that it would continue to gain traction. And according to the reference from Spotify, it's listened to 420% more than any of our other episodes.
Holy crap!
Yeah, and I posted it online yesterday, and David Larkins, made a 420 reference joke, which totally I missed out on the opportunity to make one myself when I posted it. But yes, he caught that one, and
nice, and good on him.
Yeah, I mean, David, wonderful sense of humor. So
yeah,
and very supportive in all things. But yeah,
absolutely.
So that was our top episode.
So what was our least most listened to episode this year? So we said the good, so let's look at the flip side of that same coin.
Okay, so do we want to look at
doing a year in review?
Do we want to look at just the episodes for this year or of all time?
Of all time. I mean, because it's a summation of this year. So
right. So because people listen to old episodes throughout the year. But all right, so I had it up right here, and our least listened to episode of all time is episode 10. You and I decided to do a live stream on our neglected YouTube channel, and for the 4th of July, and it was just a kind of like last minute thing. Let's just do it for fun. And we, it's got a lot of good views on there and a lot of listens, but we went ahead and took the audio and threw it on, onto onto Spotify. And it's a niche episode. It's in the moment. It's of the situation where we decided to do it. To be perfectly honest, I've never listened to it, so I couldn't tell you what we spoke about.
All right, let's get down to the brass tacks.
Yeah,
how many listens has it garnered?
Itself 150. So.
Oh, geez. All right, listeners.
Yeah,
make Scott happy in 2024. Go over to episode 10, hit play, mute your speakers, and walk away. Because I don't know, I haven't listened to the episode myself. So, and obviously he's admitted to not listening to it as well.
No, I mean, and this is not something that is any different than most podcasters. Once you record it and you edit it and you've listened to it a good dozen times, depending on the length of the episode, issues you have, you've listened to it again and again and again. That once you drop that episode, it just dissolves. It dissolves. Which is always interesting when you get a comment from an episode from a year ago, and someone
go back and listen.
Someone references something without actually referencing it, and you're like, I don't know what you're talking about. I guess.
Speaking of that, I do want to put a shout out right here, right now. Mm-hmm. I want to thank everybody who has emailed us this year.
Oh, yes.
Or commented on Twitter or sent us DMs inquiring about episodes or questions or shooting us topics, whatever social platform, wherever. Thank you for the engagement. Greatly appreciated.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. So, no, I mean, the engagement makes it so much better. We do enjoy it when we get it. We do our best to try to focus on it. When we do get them, but it's good. It's good to know we have the feedback because we know we have the listens. Because another thing I want to just draw attention to is as of 2023 we've breached the 10,000 listener marker. We've had more than 10,000 listens since we've started the Titterpigs podcast, and to be fair, it's probably a lot more than that because, for whatever reason, the analytics that Spotify grabs from Apple, which is our primary listening format, never adds up. I mean, when I did the math one time, and one time they weren't showing at least 1,500 listens from Apple.
Holy smokes!
So, but still, it's great numbers for a little rinky-dink podcast that you and I do whenever we have a spare moment between all the trials and tribulations of real life. So yeah.
Nice.
So, but no, thank you all for that.
I wanted to make sure that we covered that and gave our shout outs to all of you guys that were taking the time to contact us. We do appreciate it.
Yeah.
Scott, what was your most memorable episode this year?
Most memorable episode. So we had quite a diverse amount. Can I, before I answer that, can I just read off quickly the 16 episodes that we did this year? Just
absolutely.
Real quick. Okay. So other than our recap, which we did in the beginning of January for 2022, we started off the year with the Fanzine Roundtable with Andy Markham, James Holloway, and Pookie, followed with the ever popular Pendragon Actual Play with David Larkins. We had a great chat with Scott A. Woodard, author of Pine Box Middle School, Six Gun, and Flash Gordon for Savage Worlds. We had the wonderful lads, Pele Nilsson and Johan Noor, creators of Mork Borg. You and I had a discussion on VTTs and got yelled at by Lloyd for not having him on that discussion.
True story.
Then we had the wonderful Kevin Borup, who came on and did an actual play of his great Burn 2D6 game. Pick that up if you get a moment. It is out, available in physical. We spoke with Pat Mooney. I mean, had a great discussion on nations and canons and some of the educational aspects of historical gaming. We had an AI and tabletop RPG roundtable discussion, which was absolutely fascinating. And I'm shocked that we didn't get as many people moaning and groaning about it as I thought we would. We did our Any Picks, which we tend to do, and we had Lloyd and James on there, James Drucker, to talk about that. We did toss in our 6 seasons in Sartar recap. Fantastic campaign that we ran in by our friend Roy. And then we had kind of a last minute episode, but which was wonderful, with Ian Stewart Sharp, the author of When the Wolf Comes, and we went into that knowing nothing about it, and it was a lot of fun, and he's very engaging.
Yeah.
Then we had the eternal Robert J. Schwab on to talk about that, and he did not disappoint, lives up to all the expectations that you want with Robert Schwab, which we had Bud stand in for Keith because Keith was sick. And Bud didn't hold any punches regarding the Thousand Thrones. So that was expected, but still a shock. And Robert took it, perfectly fine. Then we had Charlie Menzies return to talk about his Don't Play This Game, his very interesting journaling game, which, again, 2023, in my opinion, is also the year of solo journaling games. And then friends Alex Giat and James Stroker to talk about their Grindhouse Volume 4,
yep,
I believe it was, and just Grindhouse horror gaming in general and RPGs. And finally, we ended with the episode 34, doing the safety dance with safety tools, where you and I discussed a topic that no one has issues with.
Nope.
Whatsoever.
Why would they?
So, all right. So, thank you for indulging me with that. Just so we as I stated earlier, we had a great year, an interesting year. But my most memorable episode, I've got to say, was the first one of the year. It was episode 21, the Fanzine Roundtable with Andy Markham, James Holloway, and Pookie. For me, that was just kind of one of those things where all we had to do was just sit the three of them down and just open the gates and just let them roll.
You're not kidding.
It was fascinating. It was great getting their perspectives on certain things, the discussions, the opinions on zines, what defines a zine in the hobby, the history of them, all the wonderful zines that Andy shared and James and Pookie brought up. To the point where we created a separate list of all the ones that were mentioned that you can find as a link in that episode.
Yep.
But as for me, I don't, just being so interested in the history of the hobby, and not from a nostalgia point of view, because I never had any of these zines, but it was just more of just a general interest in the history of where we come from and what's inside these pages, and what they tell us about the hobby as it was back in the day, and where it's evolved and how many things have changed, but many opinions haven't.
Right.
There's the certain arguments occurred in 1974, and that same argument is still being argued to this very
2023.
day. Right. But also because it was nice to have Andy on. We had him on previously for a video episode, but I think, Andy is probably responsible for my interest into kind of getting further within the hobby, and probably also to blame for my collecting habit. So
I would agree that Andy is probably your personalized gateway drug.
Yes. Yeah. No. Andy is my is senpai. I'm not clear on the kids' lingo these days, but I think that's it. He's my both him and Pookie are my historical tabletop RPG gurus. There's no shortage of knowledge that comes from them. So that was my favorite one for all those reasons. And also, yes, it was probably the easiest one.
That's fair.
I think you and I just kind of sat there, and I think we eventually kind of said, well, time's up. And then we kept going.
I think I went and ate dinner while they were just talking, interjected every now and then to keep steering things. But yeah. No, that was an easy episode to kind of chair.
So thank you, Andy. Thank you, James, and thank you, Pookie, for that. And obviously, Pookie's been on other episodes, but Andy's been on a previous one. But all of you, James, you're more than welcome to come back on and talk about anything that you would like. In fact, next time, just let us know. We'll send you the link and just tell us when you're done and we'll stop recording.
Yeah. I like that idea.
So, well, what was yours? What was your most memorable episode of the year?
Well, to be honest, I liked all of our little children this year. They were all good episodes.
Oh, shut up.
No, but the darling of the lot of children for me was has to be episode 28, our AI episode, but not for the reason why you think. I did think it was going to cause its own little dumpster fire and shitstorm, just being that AI is such a divisive topic. But that's not why I thought it's my episode for the year, but purely because I was able to get my friend Shane on the episode as one of the subject matter experts in this roundtable. Shane is a very close friend of mine. He lives locally to me here in South Carolina. We go back a number of years. We used to run a game convention together and game a lot together, pre-COVID days and all of that. And Shane is super smart on AI. He's done a lot of research on it. And I think that comes through in the episode.
Yes.
His level of knowledge on it, because he was researching it when he was working for a company that was writing people paid this company to write blog articles for them and do some social media management for them and all kinds of things in that vein. And they were doing AI research to incorporate AI into their schema, and he was responsible for doing that research and finding AI tools to bring into their workspace and stuff like that. So that's how he got so knowledgeable on it, and that's why I wanted him as part of that conversation. And I was happy to be able to bring him in because it was very, at least on the writing side, it was very apropos. And then as from a gaming perspective, Shane uses like a lot of us, he's tinkered with the AI art to kind of come up with images for like just as home games and stuff like that, to slap some images up for his players, and then, one shot dealies. And so he's tinkered with it like most people have to some degree, Midjourney or whatever, Dolly. And so he's tinkered with it. And I thought, he had a perspective on both sides, stronger on the writing side than on the art side, but that he could bring that knowledge to the table. And it's always good to get your mate on the show. So and we couldn't ask for a better counterpoint with Griff as the second voice there. And I agree with one thing I liked about the episode is we didn't have two opposing zealots. We had two people who both worked and developed in AI, but yet they had their pluses and minuses to discuss coming from both sides. No one was absolutely, well, this is the wave of the future, or this is going to end in Skynet. Even though Griff kind of alluded to that, but they were both Griff and Shane were very even keeled on their positions. They gave pros and cons both ways. Right. Nobody was utter doom and gloom, and nobody was utter, fairies and Firefox, just like, wow. Right. So and it both came from a position of years of experience, not some armchair YouTube jockey who thinks a bit of AI art looks suspicious, therefore let's light the dumpster fire again. So exactly. So that's great. I mean, it was kind of hard to choose between all our wonderful children, but let's be honest. Doesn't matter. Even, if you have more than one child, there's always going to be a favorite. There always is a favorite. Yeah. So, speaking of favorites, what was your one favorite game, book, board game, something, even a video game that you, Scott, got in your collection this year? It's not. I mean, this is kind of like Titter Pigs adjacent, but No, I mean. So I'll try to keep this as brief as possible because I mentioned it before, but it would have to be without a doubt when I received the Ghostbusters and Ghostbusters International box sets for my birthday while at Strategicon. So it was just an amazing surprise,
And the fact that it is also a fantastic game makes it even better. I don't care, what you say, Pat. You can call it nostalgic all you want, but it's still a fantastic game. It doesn't matter when it came out. But no, just briefly, there was someone there at Strategicon, a wonderful gentleman who had a huge collection, his personal collection. He was selling there at a booth. And he was selling everything for next to nothing. And he was getting rid of his collection to go move with his son and daughter-in-law and their child in Montana or something like that. So, but the one thing that he had was he had a couple things that were behind on a shelf, like the old BX D&D box, a couple really good collector's items, and then he had these two Ghostbuster boxes bundled together, and he wanted $100 for it. And, and it was day one, kind of how you are if you're in a con. You're like, well, maybe, we'll see
maybe
what
we'll
else
drop the price on day 2.
Right,
day
exactly.
3. Yeah.
So I kind of wandered around a bit, and I went over to my friend's booth, Darren. He's like, he's the owner of Critical Hit Games here. He's a good friend, and we always, help him out at his booth at Strategicon, and just kind of briefly mention it to him. And so a few hours, I went to go run a game, and when I came back, I went to go to the booth, and I saw it was gone. And the guy behind the booth said, well, sorry, someone came by shortly after you did and bought it up. I'm like, no big deal. I mean, it's not like it wasn't like the Ark of the Covenant, for collectors.
Right,
it would,
exactly.
It would have been nice, but it's, it was still, it wasn't a steal or anything like that. So, go back to the booth. Time goes by, and I go to run my Dying Earth game that I had signed up for. And I don't know if anyone's seen my GM bag, but it's kind of like what it is. It's a modified kind of one of those sewing kit bags. They're long with a handle and whatnot that I store all my games in. And I run the game, and as I'm kind of leaning over to put all of the stuff back in, because it's the Dying Earth box and all that stuff, it wouldn't fit. I'm like, what the hell's blocking it? So I'm trying to, cram it into the slot. And then and as I kind of pull it out, it catches on it, and out falls the Ghostbusters and Ghostbusters International box set.
I remember this. Yeah.
And with a little note on it that said, happy birthday or happy early birthday present. Hope you enjoy it. Please don't tell Haley. And Haley's his fiance, that I spent $100 on this. And yeah, so I went back to the booth, told him the story, and he said that was fantastic, a wonderful surprise. Thank Darren for it. And so yeah, that was not a long story short, but still my favorite addition to my collection this year, just because of everything involved in getting it to me. And it sits on my shelf, hopefully, awaiting to have a moment to run Ghostbusters for him and my other friends there at the game store.
Nice.
As soon as we get through this this OSC game that we're running. So
Nice.
Yep, there you go. What about you? What was besides your funk? What was your best addition to your collection?
Aside from my funk, which was not a gift worth giving or getting, I would say the coolest thing I got in my collection this year is not an RPG. Mm-hmm. It's a board game. It's a historical board game called Votes for Women by Tori Brown. And I don't know, it plays so well. It's a really cool historical topic. The suffrage movement in the early part of the last century, and it just does a really good job of doing what a historical board game does, giving you context and giving you, some knowledge, some education. Yeah. And it plays so well, and it has a 2-player mode, a solo mode, a multiplayer, a 4-player mode. It just does everything so well, and all the different modes play very well. It's a very challenging game, but it's so fun. I play with Roz quite routinely. Mm-hmm. I'm looking forward to sitting down with my granddaughter soon. She's 12 now, and exposing her to it and I just think it's a fantastic game, and I think everybody should check it out.
Yeah, no, I need to play more board games. I've got a decent collection. It's just there's just never enough people to play.
Right.
It's just that's one of the problems. But that sounds like a great one. And to be fair, I'm sure I could grab some people at the game store and do it, but it's one of those things where it doesn't occur to me last minute. But I believe he has a copy of that there, so I may see.
It is worth checking out. If anybody's interested in learning about it, you can go over to rollingboxcars.com. I've got a review. Just search for it. You can find it on my website, and you can read my review about it. Follow a link to the publisher, which is Fort Circle Games out of Washington, D.C. area. And they're doing a Kickstarter right now, or it just ended for a second printing. It's already funded, so it's going to print, I believe, in the second quarter of 2024.
Okay.
The end of the second quarter, more copies will be available for distribution. But some obviously stores still have them in distribution, and on their shelves.
Well, that is great, and especially it's something that you get to play. Not just with slobs like me and your other friends, but with your actual family.
Yeah,
and people
love you guys, but I do like playing with my family too.
Right, people you actually enjoy after you sign off. But let's carry on. So this is kind of more, this is going to be a little bit more focused on the episode, because I'm sure we'll end up talking about it. But looking at 2024, looking forward, obviously there's going to be a lot of games that hopefully will come out and definitely will come out. But out of all the ones that you're aware of that what one are you looking forward to coming out next year?
I need to preface this. Mm-hmm. Pat, put your earplugs in and happily fuck off. Love you, buddy. Shamefully, I am looking forward to at least reading, if not trying, just because it's wonky and crazy, the Monty Python game.
Ooh, that came out from left field.
I did not back the Kickstarter. I believe the PDF was sent out to backers. I don't know if it was like an alpha or beta or whatever, but I believe I saw something that backers have their PDF now, but obviously I didn't back the Kickstarter, so I don't have it. So now I got to wait until it's, retail available. But I'm a big fan of the Monty Python Flying Circus. I have it all on DVD. Yeah, I'm that kind of nerd. Mm-hmm. The movies, the skits. As we all know, I like nostalgia, and it always fails me. But I'm sure the game will fail me too, like most of them do.
Yeah.
ElfQuest. That's all I'll say on that. Mm-hmm. And it's a curiosity thing. I'm interested to check it out. Mm-hmm. I'm sure I'm going to be disappointed.
Yeah.
I'm willing to check it out. How about you?
I think for me, and this, I think I speak for everyone, it is hopefully 2024 is the year that Mothership Second Edition. No, never mind.
You mean the year your zines from like Zine Quest 1 finished delivering?
Exactly. Mothership Second Edition. Hopefully it'll be out next year. But anyways, the drive, the enthusiasm has died, as it does with things like that. But realistically speaking, though, I am looking forward to the Pendragon core books and the additional books that are going to be coming out next year. Having a grand old time running the starter set for everyone involved. You were in the beginning of that before you've had other things take away from you, but you died a righteous death. But yes, I'm having a good time with the Pendragon starter set. But like with most starter sets, why I'm looking forward to the core rule book is an actual interpretation of some of the rules that we've been kind of scratching our heads at that might be more defined. I'm looking for the additional content. Or looking forward to the additional content that's going to be provided. And I'm just, it's one of those where I'm not only just looking forward to it, but I know without a doubt that I'll be getting it, to the table. Because just the draw from the game, it's a fantastic game.
Well, I'm not going to give away any spoilers by saying this, but it's not going to be one core book.
Right.
Because David Larkin's already put that out.
Yes.
They changed the name on me.
It's not it's Knights something.
It's the Player's Handbook. It's the Player's Handbook.
But it's called something specific like Knights.
No, it's called the Player's Handbook now.
Oh, it is. Okay.
Yeah, In the starter set, it was called the Knight's Handbook or something like that, and they've changed the name of it.
Yeah.
Officially, it's going to be called the Player's Handbook.
Right.
That's going to be one book, and then there's going to be the Game Master's Companion or the Game Master's book. That's going to be separate.
Right.
And then there's going to be like a GM screen thing, I'm sure, because that's kind of the Chaosia model is the two book with the screen pack thing.
With some extras inside, as it tends to be.
Probably, because that seems to be their model they're following.
Yep.
So... And, it's not going to be one book when you say core book. It's going to actually be 2 books.
Right. And then hopefully within a short amount of time, their rendition of the Grey Knight is supposed to be following, I believe, is what it's been spoken
about. I think the
Grey
Grey Knight is going to release first.
Okay.
And then that's going to be followed by, at least from the public things that I've seen, just because I've worked on these projects as a proofreader.
Yeah.
But the public-facing stuff that I've seen that I can talk about, I think the Grey Knight is going to publish first, followed almost immediately by the Player's Handbook.
Right. So, but yeah, it's having a good time with it, enjoying it. We've got the last year left to do before we can put a nice, neat bow on that. And I mean, it's something I'm excited about. Kind of taking it off of the rails that exist for the starter set and having a bit more fun doing our own thing and kind of, going in other directions other than just, following the, the beginnings of King Arthur, which again, a lot of fun, don't think for a minute I'm complaining about it, because to be fair, if you're playing in Pendragon and you're complaining about following the railroad of the boy king becoming, the King Arthur that we all know and love, why are you even playing the game?
So you know what? That's a very fair question.
It's to be expected. It's like going to see the movie Saw and then getting upset because a bunch of people got shot in the eyes with rusty nails. I mean, why are you there?
Better analogy would be like going to see the Titanic and being upset that the fucking thing sank. I mean, come on.
I wasn't expecting this. I wasn't expecting this. I mean, come on, man. Try
I didn't
something
expect
original.
the boat to hit an iceberg and sink.
So, but no. Yeah, so both great things, and the good thing about it is there's no doubt that they are going to be out in 2024 one way or another, so we won't be disappointed.
What I'm looking forward to, it won't be 2024 that I'm aware of for Pendragon, is the big, massive, the Great Pendragon campaign.
Yeah,
for the new 6th edition. That's what I would most look forward to, but that's probably a 2025, 2026. Who knows? I have no insight into that one, unfortunately.
I would guess so. I mean, the one thing about Chaosia moves weirdly with their releases. You kind of feel like, 2023 was the year of RuneQuest. 2022 was the year of Call of Cthulhu. So maybe 2024 will be Pendragon focused, but who knows? We'll see.
Yeah, who knows? So that's a tomorrow problem, not a today problem for me.
Exactly.
So, all right. So speaking of 2024, and we, things that we looking forward to, let's kind of wrap up our end of year with what do we want to do with the podcast in 2024 for listeners? Kind of give them a teaser of sorts. Now, I kind of want to preface this with, we're going to spitball a few ideas for you guys. None of this should be taken as gospel. Some of these things that we might talk about briefly will require, if we do this, will require lots of planning on our part. May or may not come to fruition.
Sure.
So these are just some things that we've been kind of spitballing. Right. But we do want to kind of put them out there in the ether so you guys have an idea, like we are working behind the scenes.
Yeah. Treat it like our coming review of ElfQuest. It could happen. But if it doesn't, don't be disappointed. But yeah, so a couple things. Well, the ideas of what we think we may be doing, and also a specific topic we want to touch on. But since I feel you're the idea man regarding some of the things that we're going to hopefully try out this year, so I'm going to let you take the lead on that and kind of throw these to the wall and see if they stick. So
Scott and I have been banging some stuff against the wall, and
don't pause after banging.
Shut up.
Go on.
And we're like 7-year-olds. So a couple things we do want to do. We do want to get do a couple of roundtables this coming year. Mm-hmm. We want to do a game store roundtable. We want to get a couple of our friends that are either local to us in our geographic areas, and then somebody from overseas. And we want to bring some game store owners together with us and talk about the hobby, the industry, both from an RPG side and a board gaming side, accessory side, the whole thing, and see what the state of the industry looks like from a retailer's perspective.
Yes.
In 2023, and then obviously rolling into 2024. So that's something we've got in the works. That's taking some planning.
Mm-hmm.
We also want to do the same thing with game convention organizers. So if you are a game convention organizer that does a very small game convention or a larger game convention, please reach out to us. We'd like to, put together a small roundtable and bring some folks onto the show. Mm-hmm. But we need your expertise.
Right.
The big things that we're really working, and these are more things that Keith would like to try out, but I know Scott's super interested in these too.
Yes, and these before you dive in, these are things that we're doing for fun because we're trying to do things differently, but we're also trying to keep not just your interest peaked in the episodes, but also ours. So some of these things, may not be conventional, but we think they're cool, we think they're fun, and hopefully, if they do pan out, that you feel the same way.
Okay, so 2 ideas that we've had. The first one being a solo RPG playthrough. So this would be, we got to work out details, but don't know what game system, but I'm just for discussion reasons, I'm just going to use like one of the, like Call of Cthulhu, like Alone Against the fill in the blank, right? I'll read something. Scott would maybe decide the decision point, what we do, and then we'll trade off because we'd each own a copy of it. We'll use the same character, something like that. Don't know.
Yeah.
And then we'd do it in very small increments, and then we'll insert those into episodes, and you can kind of follow that story as it develops over many episodes. They'll be in like 5, 6, 8 minute little segments, audio snippets.
Yeah.
But the bigger, cooler thing, and this is the one that we're really kind of like trying to figure out if we can make this one work.
Trying, because this is the one where. Yeah. Go ahead. Sorry.
So we came up with the idea of trying to build a scenario. Both he and I, doing it while we record it, though, but kind of like maybe 10 or 12 years ago, there was like these RPG jams where, people would get together online back in the old like Google Hangout days and do these jams and create something, whether it was a scenario, a little RPG bit piece, whatever.
Right.
Or a set piece for something, and it was cool. Some subject matter experts or people that thought they were get together, smash their heads together, create something.
Right.
Well, we thought about doing it to build a scenario, and again doing it in smaller, not taking an entire episode to do this thing because we know it would take multiple episodes, but doing it in small, manageable pieces. Mm-hmm. Some of it would be done, I think, behind the scenes. Some would be done in front of the microphone, as it were.
Mm-hmm.
So some pretty big logistic hurdles to figure out.
Yeah. I mean, and this is iffy, but some of the things that we're thinking about in both of those is there a way to have either some sort of listener engagement, some sort of patron engagement, some sort of engagement from people that we know without making it a big convoluted mess, so to speak, because organizing these things and the old adage of the more chefs you have can spoil the soup. But we're playing with a lot of these ideas, juggling them, trying to figure out the best way without turning it into an immense project, and it essentially being the entire focus of the podcast, which we're trying not to do. We're trying to make this an additional thing that we're doing for fun, for engagement. And maybe come out with something at the end, maybe not. But just trying to do things a little bit differently. It's as much as you like to hear two old white guys in their late 40s moan and groan about AI art. Sometimes that might get long in the tooth.
I mean, we could complain about our bursitis and our tennis elbows and our lower back strains, but I think talking about, designing and developing a scenario would be cooler.
I mean, that's better than me, telling everyone I haven't had a good constitution since December 24th. So,
and welcome to Titter Pigs.
Still waiting, maybe for the New Year's. It'll be a New Year miracle.
Hey. So, anyways, these are some of the things that we're trying to work. We got like a hopper full of other things. I just wanted to throw out like the 2 roundtable ideas, these 2 kind of bigger project ideas. Don't know what's going to come of them.
Yeah.
Obviously, the solo playthrough idea is a little easier and a little more doable than building a scenario. Because there's lots of decision points in building a scenario, like what system do we use? What genre do we do? What about this? What about that? The 3 acts, the beats, the whole 9 yards. So
and then if you start involving whatever aspect, other people into it, that just makes it bigger and bigger because you have more options to build off of and all that stuff. So, but I'd like to add again, back to listener engagement. If you guys have some ideas, throw it our way. If there's something that you'd like to have us try out or do, no guarantee that we'll do it, but if you have some wonderful ideas, to send our way, serious ones. I'm probably talking to Bud, Pookie, and the rest. But if you have some serious ones that you would like to try, or even other suggestions, things you'd like to hear us talk about, we're definitely open to that also.
Absolutely. So if you think it's a cool topic that you don't think anybody's talked about, even if it's slightly on the controversial side, we can definitely consider it. Not, again, like Scott said, we're not guaranteeing we're going to talk about whatever you send to us, but we're happy to take a look at and listen to your idea. So please, shoot us an email. Scott, what's our email?
It is titterpigspod@gmail.com.
And there you go. Send it to us. We will give it some consideration. If we do use your suggestion for a topic, we will definitely give you a shout out and a thank you for giving us that suggestion. Because we don't work in a vacuum, so obviously we want to give acknowledgement where acknowledgment's due. So that's an important thing.
Well, do we want to wrap this up with our last thing that we'll offer up to the listeners? And I think that's going to be, speaking of what we're going to be doing in 2024, do you have a topic that's burning a hole in your wallet that we didn't discuss this year or previous year that you want to see if we can do an episode on in 2024?
I really want to do this, like this build a scenario thing. I really want to see if we can pull this off. I think if we can do this and manage it in a way that is not overly burdensome for us to do it, I think it can be pretty bloody cool to be able to do it.
Right.
It's kind of an old school-esque thing. I don't know of anybody else doing it.
I mean, I've got a good way to start it. So there's an island in the west part of Italy. There's an old house on this island, and there's a group called the Ghost Bangers, and they're there for a particular reason. We'll work out the rest, but I got a good name for it. It's called Virus.
Interesting. I like this idea. Let's see what we can do with that.
And it'll be based on Call of Cthulhu. We'll use Call of Cthulhu rules. No, I can't think of a single one that's like this. So,
Buddy, wonderful.
maybe Bud will do maybe Bud from Bud RPG's Review will do a review of it once we're done.
Anyways,
yes. All right.
What about you? You got a topic that's just burning to get out?
Yeah, I've had this one for a year, and I guess I feel that I may be the more divisive of the two of us in regards to certain things. But this year, I'm hoping this is the year where we're going to maybe have a roundtable discussion about the Trove. And not necessarily just the Trove itself, but it'll be the primary focus. But the idea of the trove, the topic discussion of, piracy in the hobby, or is it historical tabletop RPG preservation? That balance of the subject of, yes, for every copy of Mork Borg that's shared on there, there's, a dozen games that no longer exist in physical form that you can never find. That's for somehow someone, scanned the copy and it's there for someone to reference or utilize or even look up, that otherwise you can never find anywhere else. Or it's going to cost you $800 to pick up and take a look at. So not going into too many details of that, but in a nutshell, we're going to talk about the trove and the aspects of it, and have some people on that have opinions of it in both ways. And it may be another one of those where we just press record and you and I will go for a smoke and a cocktail. And come back an hour and a half later to screaming and yelling. So
that's possible too.
So that's one. Well, we'll see. I mean, I've been trying to get that one to an episode, I think, since we first started, but we'll see how it plays out. It may change. Okay. Who knows?
Well, there you go, listeners. That's kind of our wrap up of 23. It's been an interesting year. And then kind of where we'd like to go with 24. So as we've said copious amounts of times already, please send us your emails, your suggestions, and I'm going to put a plug. There'll be a segment after this one, but if you're not first off, I would like to say, if you are a patron of the show through Patreon, thank you.
Yes.
We appreciate all three of you. No, I'm just kidding. We appreciate all of you guys. We truly do.
Yes.
If you're not a patron, and you do appreciate the podcast and like the efforts that Scott and I go through to put these episodes together and the topics we discuss and the people we bring together, please consider becoming a patron and supporting the show through Patreon. We are doing some things through Patreon coming in 2024 that are going to, some of it will be public, some of it will be patron exclusive. So there's a little more content for patrons. So there's that going for you too.
Yes.
So there's my, Scott, sorry, I stole it. There's my pitch for patron.
Oh, that's fine. I'll still plug in the, our recorded, pitch at the end. Just
absolutely
for the hell of it. But yes,
we got to give our shout out to our patrons.
Absolutely.
'Cause we love all you guys. You are awesome.
Yes, no, and definitely. And thank you one and all for every one of you who have taken the time to listen to our episode or to our episodes. Thank you to all of the wonderful people who have taken the time to come on to our podcast, to talk about their games, to play games with us, to be involved in our topics. Looking forward to having you and many new people in the coming year on. Make 2024 for Titterpigs an even more diverse podcast than it already is, and just branch out into discussing so many things related to the hobby. I'm definitely looking forward to it. So, yeah. And no more impromptu live streams during the 4th of July.
Touche. All right, so let's end 2023 with a bang.
How about some more beans, Mr. Taggart?
I'd say you've had enough.
Hey, Titterpigs fam, just a quick reminder, we do have our Patreon going on. It's patreon.com/Titterpigs. You can show your support there. We have 2 tiers for you, a $3 and a $6 tier, so show us some love and be part of our growing community.
And speaking of our growing community, I'd like to give a shout out to our current Patreon members: Dr. Mitch, Jason Sheets, Bud's RPG Review, Dwayne Costa, William Payne, Lupus Malum, Salt Heart, Patrick Mullen, and our newest member, Dragon Girl 74.
Happy New Year, y'all!